Bull, here's the situation.
Yeah.
We all know Donovan Mitchell just re-signed. That's a historic moment in Cleveland Cavaliers history. We know that Jose Ramirez is one of the top 25 players in all of Major League Baseball. He took a significant pay cut to stay here with the Cleveland Guardians. We know that Myles Garrett, 9 times out of 10, is a Cleveland Browns lifer. When you look at all three teams right now and we assess the state of pro sports in the city of Cleveland, how would you all assess that as we stand right here today?
Guys, I think it's, if you look at the three combined, it's as good as it's ever been. When has it been better? There's never been a time. There's been times where individually some of the teams have been in better shape. Mm-hmm. But there's never been a time, because let's face it, for the most part, the Browns have been awful since the 80s. Mm-hmm. They've almost never been good. So even when the other two teams have been good, well, they've never been good, pretty much.
2016 will be the best year because
the Cavs weren't it. Right.
I'm saying the Cavs won it all. The Guardians or Indians was in the World Series. So that would have been the prime of it all.
Because you had two teams that were legit championship contenders. But you could argue now on some level that all three teams are at least borderline capable of winning a title. Now, will they ultimately do it? Who knows? But it's the first time since, I don't know when, the Cavs were not good in the 80s.
Ever.
And the Browns were not good for most of the last 3 decades. And the Browns were not good in the 70s. I mean, well, they had some moments in the 70s, but the Indians were terrible in the 70s, and the Indians were terrible in the 80s. So
ever.
So you have all three teams are good right now.
They all should have all of them ever made the playoffs at the same time? I feel like no.
I'd have to think
because it'd be the Browns that'd be the one. They only had.
I mean,
what was it, 2001?
The Indians in the 80s never really did it.
It was 2002.
It would have to be. So 2002, the Browns made the playoffs.
Right. And the Cavs were terrible because they were trying to get LeBron.
Yeah.
So no.
I don't think so. That maybe there might have been 1 year randomly somewhere along the line that I'm not thinking of.
Cavs in the 80s and the Browns in the 80s were good. Indians were terrible. They were losing 100 games a year. I don't think,
So obviously, the Cavs made the playoffs this year. The Guardians are going to make the playoffs this year.
And the
Browns made the playoffs this year. So all three, now you want to count, does this year, technically do the Browns have to make it again this year? Because the
calendar year.
Last year, the Guardians didn't make it.
Well, they was all in the.
What?
I mean, in
the playoffs technically started
in 2024. The Browns were in the playoffs.
Yes, they were.
The Cavs were in the playoffs, and if the Guardians make the playoffs,
I think it's a pretty safe assumption that the Guardians are going to make it. So we're going to have all three this year.
So one of the things that Earl was talking about was there's this thought process or notion that people don't want to play in Cleveland, right? He mentioned Myles Garrett. He mentioned, Ramirez. He mentioned Donovan Mitchell, right? Mm-hmm. Is the narrative changing, or that people want to be in Cleveland, or those isolated incidences?
Listen, who knows? You can't speak for every single player.
Well, it's hard, because
I think that's really just the foot. I'm sorry, just the basketball thing.
Listen,
it depends. When the Browns were for most of the last 30 years, the Browns have been such a shit show that there were probably people that did not want to play for the Browns. And so you had to overpay to get them.
Right.
I think with the Indians/Guardians, at least since the 90s, it's only been about money. Because they've been such a good organization, why would people not want to play here? That doesn't make any sense. I think with basketball, a lot of the players just want to play in the cooler markets. And
they want to play with.
I don't think that's a Cleveland
talent.
Thing.
To be honest with you, when you look at those three names, there's only one person it's an honest assessment, because Myles and Jose, they all were picked here, they grew up in the league here. Donovan actually got traded here, so he was the one that was like, oh, I actually like Cleveland. It ain't bad here. Other ones, that's all they know. That's all they kind of know.
But Jose, that doesn't stop most baseball players.
True, but I'm saying, that's all he.
But the fact that he took, as he pointed out, the fact that he took significantly less money to stay, when he knows that if he would have been a free agent, he would have gotten paid way, way more money. So he doesn't know. I mean, that didn't stop 99% of players from going just because they don't know. So I think that has something to do. I think when players don't want to play here, it has more to do with the team than the city. Except for maybe some guys in basketball. I think it's more about the team than the city.
agree. I think once people get here and they see how the city is, first of all, it's shocking because it's like, oh, I didn't know Cleveland would be like this fun. They got some stuff going on, you know? And I think that you're right. I think the team is just not doing better. They don't see
the Browns because they were the Browns, not because they were in Cleveland.
Yeah. And I think Donovan Mitchell made a basketball decision. Like, I mean, if you look at the landscape of what's going on, like, he'd have to take less money to go other places.
Can pay him more than others.
He basically is the man on the team, right?
Yeah.
He has a friend who he likes in Jared Allen. He got to handpick the coach. And other teams that they thought about speculating, the Brooklyn Nets are in a complete rebuild. And the Knicks are loaded and have their superstar in Jalen Brunson.
He could have went to Miami.
But I think Cleveland
is a better basketball
I think Cleveland sports is in a good light right now. None of the teams are being made fun of. Like, none of them are a joke. Now, the Browns still have to do it longer because they could easily fall back into joke category if they don't stay on the right path. But I feel like they're on a pretty solid path right now that they won't. The Guardians are obviously well respected around baseball. And the Cavs are respected, I believe, around the NBA.
I'm going to ask you this, Bull, because I think this is true. I think more than anything, I think there's more of a difference in the media, like in the fans. Like, I think there's an adjustment period that you go from your teams are bad and you're used to the narrative around the teams.
Yes.
I think how you cover the teams now is more impactful or different for us, right? Like, before you could just roll out of bed and just say the Browns are terrible.
Yeah, right.
And you get people that say, okay, well, they'll listen to it.
Right.
It's more difficult to cover teams that are consistently good, that are looking to push for a championship, that aren't, I wouldn't say the prohibited favorite, right? The top 3 or 4 teams. It's more difficult because now you just can't use the same
I think it's a mixed bag. In some ways, it is more difficult. Because, you could just go on a rant about how bad the Browns suck, and that's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy to do. I mean, we all did that a million times because it was easy. But it's also more fun when the teams are good.
Yes,
there are moments when you rant about how much a team sucks that it's funny to do that. But eventually it gets boring when the team blows. And you know they don't have a chance to win.
Right.
Like, watching the Browns go win 3-4 games. Like, when I first started at the radio station, and, like, we go into the season knowing, like, maybe they'll win 5 games. Like,
it's empty inside. Like, you're just dead. Like,
you want to cover a good team?
You trying to look at angles like maybe, like,
you're psyching yourself out.
We're talking about the draft in November.
It's crazy. The season is like decades.
Yeah.
Like every day is like 48 hours. You're like, dang, I ain't got nothing. It's only 2 o'clock.
What year is this? This would be year 3 for me doing the Browns. So the first, that was the year after they went to the playoffs. It was a bad year. Then last year was good. I 1-1, so
at least
I will tell you, it is bad when they lose, and it's
the Browns have the Browns have been for lack of better, even under Stefanski his first year, right? Yeah. They've always had the best storylines, though. They had the
crazy
Jarvis, the Odell, the Baker, Peyton Hill. We had crazy storylines. Like, it's been interesting to watch them. Here's how you know you done came a long way. You are the 4 o'clock game, even with Deshaun Watson. You are the 4 o'clock game with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's debut,
week 1 at home.
Yeah.
Debut.
What? Are you serious?
How many night games? They got 4 night games this year, right?
Yeah, right. The Browns in 2014 and 15 and 16, they weren't playing the 4 o'clock games on week 1. They were the 7th game on the list at 1 o'clock.
Man, listen, they was
Colt McCoy and the Browns.
Actually, that year they had a couple. They
were all right.
They played. They were interested to beat the Patriots. Peyton Hillis was a
beat
fun,
Drew Brees.
Yeah, beat Drew Brees, man. Listen, we'll make
Peyton Hillis. Is he by far the worst player ever on the Madden cover?
Sean Alexander fell off after he was on it.
Yeah, but Sean, he was
Sean,
a better player overall.
Oh,
Sean,
yeah.
By the way, Sean Alexander was on 2 covers. He was on NCAA and Madden. That's kind of tough.
Is he the worst player on the cover?
Yes.
Because he had one good season in his entire career.
I think he might be.
But that year, he was
Cold Pepper.
At that year,
Marshall
he
Falk,
was nice.
Vic, Ray Lewis, Donovan McNabb.
I used to be able to remember all of them.
Who was on those set? Who was on those set?
I stood in line.
Drew Brees.
No, it was Drew. No, it was Drew Brees.
Drew Brees was on it.
No, it
Brett
was
Favre was
Vince
on it.
Young was on.
Vince Young was
one.
on it.
Was Brett Favre ripping people off that year?
No,
Brett Favre was
he
the
was
first.
still
I think he was
legit.
the first one that they had to come out with a new cover because he started on the Packers and then they. I think they had to get a Jets one or something like that. I think
By
he
the way-
might be.
by the way-
Hillis might be the worst one.
I want to throw this out, man. Listen, hit me up, man. If you watch it out there, listen. NCAA football is coming out. They just did a deep dive on the dynasty. Your boy G.
See, they
Bush.
they gonna update the stickers on the helmet.
Yeah, your boy
Are you
G.
going to
Bush.
be back in the game? Is Tyvis back in the game? Can you
No,
go
no,
through
no.
every year?
No, they're done. We're finished. Yeah, I can go back. I got the old game, 02, 03.
Were you happy with your grades back in the day or no?
No, Madden.
Yeah.
No, college.
I was only on the last
No,
one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I was a freshman.
Yeah,
So, I came in
it
like
was
50.
crazy.
What about your
Yeah.
Madden grades?
I overall was terrible, but my speed was 93. So
That's
you
good speed.
Yeah, you can
That's
put me
crazy.
in. Put me in.
But as I was saying, G. Bush 91.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a nice dynasty, multiple dynasty online.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
We pick a team, we do a dynasty.
You
we
build
recruit,
your own-
build your
yeah.
own team. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking for a dynasty. I'm on PS5. I switched over from Xbox.
What's your gamer tag? I got a PS5.
Oh, we good then. To G. Bush 91. G. Bush 91.
I'm about to add it right now.
And it's either G. Bush 91, which it could be that one, or it's G. Bush 9501.
You don't know which one it is?
Nah.
What's wrong with you?
I just got the PS5.
I got a question for y'all.
Earl don't
Statement
never
and a
be
question.
on. So
Go ahead, Earl.
So it's funny, Tyvis, you've been retired for what, 4 years?
Has it been that long? It feel like
It
feel
sounds
longer
funny
than
to hear.
that.
Say
It feel
Tyvis is
longer than
retired.
that. You say
So the
G.
point I'm
Bush
getting
what?
to-
9501.
He's been retired 4 years, so before that he was a player. I've only been doing this 4 years. I
Yeah.
was a fan. And so I've never really covered Cleveland sports outside of the realm that I cover it in now. Like, I used to listen to you and Dustin on the radio. I used to be a season ticket holder for the Cleveland Browns
Right.
when they was 1-15 and 0-16.
Yeah.
When we look at where all three teams are right now today, within the next 5 years, do you see a championship parade, no matter who is by, being held in this city?
5 years from now, do I see
Within the
one?
next 5 years, from
Yeah.
now
I
to
think-
29.
I think it's possible for all three. I don't know that it's overly likely for all three. I don't know.
The sad thing is,
Man.
the sad thing is yeah, but it's like one or two guys that got to take a next step for me to actually see it. To me right now, I think the Browns got a really good chance when you look at their roster. But I got to see Deshaun be Deshaun again. Like
If
that.
you had to, yes.
And then for the Cavs, I got to see Evan be this guy. And then for the Guardians probably got the best chance as of today.
If I had to bet today, I'd bet Guardians 1, Browns 2, and Cavs definitely 3.
Listen,
I think I may be in that same boat.
and I got Guardians by a long shot.
Yeah,
too.
because
Really? I'm surprised by
I
that.
got Guardians by
because it.
we were talking about the other day. Like
Baseball's more random.
all you got to do is just get in.
And part of the reason for the Browns is just so how loaded the AFC is.
it's one guy.
Yeah.
It's like
It's mostly Mahomes, but there's other guys too.
I got to envision most likely you on the road winning an Arrowhead.
Right.
That's so crazy.
And the reason you got to win on the road is because the AFC North is so tough that
Like,
you're unlikely to have the best record in the AFC. And the Chiefs division is
is
not that good right now. Maybe the Chargers will get better with Harbaugh, but
that's the only thing
I feel like
that
the
holds me
Raiders is
back.
going to be pretty good.
they're going to be all right.
Who they court? Is Gardner Minshew the starter?
Supposedly, I don't know. I don't know that it's definite.
I think they're going to be. I think they'll be a playoff team.
You know what I would do if I was the Raiders? I would trade 3 first-round picks for Dak Prescott.
For what? He going to be a free agent next year.
I'd trade 3 first-round picks for him.
I
You
would.
think they're a quarterback away? Who they running back? They got rid of Josh Jacobs. Who they got now?
Listen,
I have no idea who they're.
They got a lot of questions.
But
But they got Devontae Adams.
He's old. Well, he still had a great year. Who's the Raiders running back?
I feel like they picked somebody else. Or they had some young dude.
If I was, I would.
I need to know this for fantasy because I'm
Or
gonna
if
pick
I
him
was
up.
a Dolphins, if I was a Dolphins and I wasn't gonna sign Tua, I would trade Tua for Dak Prescott.
Their starting running
you and
back
Dak.
is Zamir White.
I'm drafting him.
He was a 4th-round pick in 2022.
And
I'm drafting him in fantasy.
He was balling.
And then their backup is Alexander Madison, who they signed from Minnesota, and he sucked last year.
You know, they beat the Chiefs kind of bad at Kansas City last year.
Yeah, they did.
They smoked them kind of bad.
And that D-line for them is one of the top in the league.
It's
But
nice.
I think after what happened last year, it almost feels a little hopeless against Kansas City. I know it's not.
What do you mean?
Because last year was the first time
They didn't have
where
nobody.
they looked vulnerable.
And they didn't
You're
have-
like, somebody's going to beat them this year. They didn't play that well in the regular
will
season,
tell you-
and they still won it
What I
all.
will tell you is, in this game of football, injuries are 100%.
Listen, I'm
And
not saying that.
It's bound
It
to
just-
happen.
it-
It's
it
gonna
feels
happen. It
harder
is what
now
it is.
than ever
It's
before.
gonna happen, and it's gonna be when everybody least expects it
Are
to
you
happen.
saying?
And when it does,
Are you
it's
predicting
done.
an injury?
I ain't.
For Patrick-
all I'm
for
telling
Patrick-
you, all
one
I'm telling
Patrick
you,
Mahomes?
all I'm telling you is that injuries in the NFL is 100%. It's
But
100%
Tyvis,
going
if you're
to
looking
happen.
for a Patrick Mahomes injury to be the way to
I'm not saying
Say
it.
he
I,
didn't get past
I
injuries.
didn't say him. I just said injuries is 100%.
But you know what's so crazy?
For anybody in the league.
This is messed up. This is messed up. Fan bases would be like, I'm so sorry, you never want to see it. But Bengals fans would be like, we got a shot. Ravens fans will be like, we got a shot.
100%.
Browns fans will be like, we got a shot. Everybody would look around like, we got a shot.
I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying injuries are 100%. And when as you get older, you start
never
getting
know.
hurt more.
He's still pretty young,
Didn't
though.
Kelsey get hurt like twice last year?
He didn't look the same. He's getting older. Like
Yep.
I just, you know.
That's going to be interesting when Kelsey's finally done. Because nothing else has mattered from all. They lost Tyreek Hill. And it's been, and Jay especially went on and on about it last year during the regular season. It didn't matter. They won 2 Super Bowls without maybe the best receiver in football.
That's the problem I got. And the Cavs, the thing that I got with the Cavs, why they gotta.
They just short.
It's the air. So a lot of it has to do with who you playing against. Think about it. There was a lot of good teams.
If they would have just won that last game.
In the Eastern Conference, LeBron went to 9 straight.
Yeah.
Think of how many good teams came and went. They just couldn't. Now you got the Celtics, right?
Just think of the Cavs.
Their guys are 26 years old. That's the problem I have with the theory of just waiting and let people get better. I said, so you think
How old is Donovan?
older than Tatum and Brown? You see, that sucks.
is
They're
he that
young
much?
and good, and
He can't be that
the
much
best 2
older than them.
positions they are loaded at, right? So that's why it all depends. That's why you got to have Evan Mobley. And people be thinking I just be.
He's 27. He'll be 28 this
They be
year.
like, G. Bush, you're just always talking about Imani Bates and these other guys. I said, bro, that's the way the NBA works. The Bulls didn't get nowhere until they figured out that I need Scottie Pippen.
G.
You got to develop that.
All they had to do was win the last game of the regular season.
Who?
The Cavs.
And then who would they would have played?
They would have played a bunch of injured teams in the playoffs.
Who would they played if they would have played when they played the
Pacers.
Injured. Tyrese Halliburton.
he didn't get
Pacers
injured till
won their
late.
first series.
They won their first series
Did
against
they?
the Bucks. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't have played the Pacers. They would have been in the Pacers spot.
Oh, you're right.
Then they would have played the Bucks.
Injured Giannis.
That's true. And then they would have played the injured Knicks.
Then they would play the injured Knicks.
They wouldn't beat them injured Knicks.
You need to cut it out.
Them injured Knicks was like do you see them injured Knicks was like, I'm not just putting the cape on for the Knicks, but the Knicks play hard.
All right.
And they played.
In hindsight, they should have won the last game.
You got any super